She said on stage, yeah, that's right. She said on stage that she agrees with Sanders on many things, but she thinks she would make a better president than Bernie Sanders. And the reason she thinks she would make a better president because she is detail oriented. She has dug in on particular issues and gotten stuff done. So I think that's a preview to what we'll see in terms of Warren going after Sanders because she knows that her path to the nomination, her path to victory in any of these states has to do with Sanders and that progressive base that he has.
Um, Biden, timing is everything in politics. Biden found his footing a little bit. You could feel he was more comfortable there. He did some stuff that, you know, you can see, as you were saying, Andrew, that he's probably on his pathway to victory in South Carolina. He knows that he capability working really well. You know, Bloomberg made a lot of bad jokes, but he was not a bad joke. Last week, he was the joke, okay? This time, he just made a bunch of corny jokes. So I think that had he blown himself up, this week than we did last week, then I think we talked about him getting out of the race. I think Bloomberg hangs on to the bottom of the ladder and stays in the race. I was disappointed with Bernie's answer on the socialism question. He had known that was coming. There's no reason to do a big retrospective nostalgia scream fest about authoritarian regimes from the 70s. There was an opportunity for Bernie to clarify to the American people that when he says democratic socialism, that's the point. It's not that stuff in Cuba. It's not that stuff in Soviet Union. It's the stuff that you see in Northern Europe is working off normal people and they vote all the time. He failed to do that. It's unbelievable he failed to do it. It's what a big chunk of our party used to hear from him, and he did not do it tonight.
I also think, and Bill, let me ask you about this because you're a supporter centers. He has a refrain that I think is actually one that I thought he was going to use tonight. He used it in the interview that I did with him, where he says, you know what, Donald Trump is a socialist. He's a socialist, a corporate socialist who got $800 million in tax breaks when he was a private citizen and wants to give that to corporations. I want to give those breaks to the working class, to the middle class. He didn't. From what I missed part of it tonight, so maybe he said it, but to me, that's an effective argument that he makes.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I want to step back for a second. If you're a viewer and you're just getting to this race, which let's not forget most viewers are, you are deeply poorly served by this debate. They got super in the process. There are a lot of conversations. I mean, there's fixation on the filibuster, and it's a really important issue. But a lot of folks don't understand how the filibuster works. So I think folks were just not well served by this debate, the format, the questions. We didn't get into coronavirus, which is leading all the headlines until the last block of the debate. On the question about Bernie, I think he hit his points about what democratic socialism means to him. But I do agree that this is a line of attack that's going to continue to come. I think when you think about where we stand in the conversation that we're having as a country about who we want to be president of the United States, I just don't know how much fear-mongering about this issue is actually going to matter when you're talking to voters who are facing the fact that they don't have access to good health care. They're worrying about whether or not this economy is just fundamentally left them behind and they're going to be able to have access to it, or even their kids will have access to it. And so I just think it's easy for us to focus on this one issue because it's the issue that's been in the headlines. I just don't know that it resonates as much as we think it does.
So, Jess, I want you to comment on that because to me it's interesting to me that this has not been in the headlines as much as certainly Donald Trump is going to make it be in the headlines, which is why I think it's wise that it's brought up now to either he addresses it or not. I mean, do you think this is an issue that is going to continue?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think Donald Trump is going to go hard negative on whoever the nominee is. That will obviously be a line of attack that he uses on Sanders. It will be a similar line of attack that he uses on any of the Democratic nominees. So I don't know exactly how much of a Sanders problem this is, or maybe the Republicans are making this word a meaningless one anyway by calling every Democrat one. I think it was a difficult and chaotic and frustrating debate, which is about where we are in terms of the Democratic primary process to begin with. So if you're coming in, it was a decent entry point to the way the contest is going at this point. I think if
CBS intentionally was modeling it.
It was meta. Yes, they were trying to mimic the actual feeling of being one of us, and they did a brilliant job.
It was also co-hosted by Twitter, so this does feel a lot like Twitter.
You know what? That makes perfect sense. I think if Mike Bloomberg had spent as much time workshopping his answers on stop and frisk and the offensive things he said to women, instead of the naked cowboy joke. He could have maybe redeemed himself a little bit. I didn't see him being the same punchline that he was last time, but I didn't see him doing himself any favors or winning back any votes that way.
It wasn't an embarrassment to himself the way he was
Yes.
the last time.
He was a different kind of embarrassment.
The thing that struck me, and particularly on the answers on Cuba and digging himself a deeper hole, is that Bernie Sanders is just this bulldozer who just
He's like a fortress.
a fortress, Mount Bernie. Just you keep
No one can
going
scale
at
him.
him, and you can ask him, and he will never change
Like impermeable.
his position. Keep coming at me because they're good. Those are good. You just
Oh, I've been there. You're on stage, and he has a force field, and everything you say to him is like, let me be clear. I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk about. It's going to have some. But that was what was so fascinating. But it's not really going to be what you'd asked me about. It's going to now go into a Bernieism. And then afterwards, you're like, okay, what just happened? No. But that was what.
To get him off of it. So when it's a question about Cuba,
Right.
he will continue to give that answer that he gave to you. That he'll give it again tonight, and then he'll dig himself a deeper hole. And he did it in our town hall.
But it is interesting that people are focusing on what he said about Castro in the 1980s. Michael Bloomberg, a couple of weeks ago, said that the dictator of China is not a dictator.
Right, exactly.
And nobody seems.
Well, Bernie picked up on that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but look, Jess is right that the Republicans and Donald Trump are going to make this same case against any Democratic candidate. But it's easier to make when that Democratic candidate embraces the title of socialist and doesn't refute it. And the truth of the matter is, Bernie Sanders is not a socialist. I mean, if you look it up in the dictionary, he's not calling for, society to own the means of production and all of that stuff. And why he is so reluctant to make that point, and he is like a fortress, Andrew, but not on that question tonight. On that question tonight, he looked unmoored. And while it shouldn't necessarily be the most important question, they will make it the most important question until he makes it a less important question by straightening the whole thing out. The flip side of that is he's also a guy who deeply believes in things. He speaks aspirationally. His clothes tonight reflected that when he talked about what he thinks America should be and the goals we should set ourselves to that speak to the lives of everyday people. And anyone who underestimates the power of that is missing something.
Let's be clear though. I mean, he comes into this debate as the front runner in the race, and the question of what this debate did to this race, I think it's pretty clear. To your point, that the fact that Warren decided to attack him does signal something about her recognizing that her pathway, if she has one, has to run through his lane, and that she has to try and take some of those votes away. I don't know that this debate did much to knock him off of that front runner
Because
status.
he's so far down the track at this point in terms of collecting delegates, in terms of looking strong for Super Tuesday, looking strong a bit in South Carolina too. I do think, Biden came in strong with South Carolina. He's going to connect with voters. He'll probably give this Clyburn endorsement as well. He said in his closing statement that he wanted to nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court. That's certainly going to resonate with those black women in South Carolina who are going to make up the majority of black voters. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people will look at this, these last many months, they've been sort of looking past Sanders. He did have a heart attack. Was that going to weaken him? It didn't. It seemed to make him stronger, in fact. And so I think for somebody like Warren, it's probably too late to kind of cut into his momentum.
To a point I built, I just want to play some of the sound of Warren trying to draw differences, as they say, with Senator Sanders.
Bernie and I agree on a lot of things, but I think I would make a better president than Bernie. And the reason for that is that getting a progressive agenda enacted is going to be really hard, and it's going to take someone who digs into the details to make it happen. Bernie and I both wanted to help rein in Wall Street. In 2008, we both got our chance, but I dug in, I fought the big banks, I built the coalitions, and I won. Bernie and I both want to see universal health care, but Bernie's plan doesn't explain how to get there, doesn't show how we're going to get enough allies into it, and doesn't show enough about how we're going to pay for it. I dug in, I did the work, and then Bernie's team trashed me for it.
Well,
No, look, I think there was a number of dynamics, and that was a brilliant point. I think I think probably for every woman in the world, their heads were nodding. Like, if Bernie talks and I do, the guy's gonna yell, I get it done. And so I think that she really struck something really powerful there. She never followed up.
Never.
Then she spent the rest of the debate beating up on Bloomberg, trying to do the same thing she did last week, and I don't know if that helped her very much. But I do think that one thing happened. There was a lot of guys just screaming over each other, over and over and over again.
I want to explain that dynamic. This was the last time we're going to see 2 or 3 of these candidates, and they were surrounded by their team saying, all right, this is going to be your last debate unless you do something incredibly stratospheric that lights the political world afire. And those were essentially the incentives for everyone on the stage, which is, look, this is your last debate, go out swinging.
See, I thought it was just proving that men were too emotional to be the president. No, I thought Warren was great tonight. For those who were looking for her to repeat her performance last time, which clearly, given the difference between early voting in Nevada and day of voting in Nevada, you could see that her vote share was increasing post-debate. She raked in a ton of money. You know, I think she delivered for people who were looking for that. So if there was someone who was leaning her way and waited to see what she could do tonight, I think they got a really good performance out of there. She was wonky. She was her happy warrior self. She didn't scream. I thought it came across as presidential in a debate that was a little bit less.
You know, the person we haven't mentioned is Buttigieg.
Yeah.
And I thought there were times for me when he seemed to be kind of a truth teller there, saying, look at what we're looking at. The American public is worried about a Trump-Sanders contest because he said they want to turn on the TV and have their blood pressure go down and not up.
Right.
And then he said, yeah, I'm sure he thought of it just right. And then he said that Trump was stuck in the 50s and Bernie was stuck in the 60s. That's a pretty good line, too.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I don't think Buttigieg got anything out of this debate because it was a shout fest. But I do think that he kind of, he kept his calm and his self-respect.
Let's play the 50s and 60s
Yeah.
lines.
Looking forward to a scenario where it comes down to Donald Trump with his nostalgia for the social order of the 1950s and Bernie Sanders with a nostalgia for the revolutionary politics of the 1960s. This is not about what coups were happening in the 1970s or 80s. This is about the future. This is about 2020. We are not going to survive or succeed, and we're certainly not going to win by reliving the Cold War. And we're not going to win these critical House and Senate races if people in those races have to explain why the nominee of the Democratic Party is telling people to look at the bright side of the Castro regime. We've got to be a lot smarter about this and look.
Senator Sanders, your response.
Let us be clear. Do we think health care for all, Pete, is some kind of radical communist idea? Do we think raising the minimum wage to a living wage? Do we think building the millions of units of affordable housing? Do we think raising taxes on billionaires is a radical idea? Do you think criminal justice reform is a radical idea?
The things you just named,
Immigration reform. The truth is, that the American people support my agenda. That is why I'm beating Trump in virtually every poll that I've done, and why I will defeat him.
Let's not talk over each other. One of the things that was interesting about what Buttigieg earlier had actually said, you know, we're facing this situation, meaning the country is facing this situation where, you know, for the next year, you're going to have to listen to President Trump and Bernie Sanders going after each other and the kind of the war of that, which does sort of set up what the dynamic very well may be.
Yeah.
But it also raises the question, is Sanders the only one who actually can go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump? I mean,
Well,
to your point, debating him is like, you know, climbing a mountain, or for whatever the analogy was.
Walking into one?
Nobody, I mean, if people are upset at, you know, me or anybody else for raising a socialism issue with Sanders in an interview, I mean, when he's on a stage with Trump, it's going to be one cheap shot after another.
Well,
And
I tell you
is
what.
he the only one who actually can?
And I think the people who are excited about Bernie and who are happy that he's finally in the center of that stage is that there is that belief that not only is he tough enough to go head to head with Trump and not be thrown off, but also that he is leading a real movement.
Well, and I mean, you go to his. I mean, if you go to all their rallies, I mean, his rallies are.
And that is very hard to do. Everybody wants to lead a movement. Everybody thinks they're leading. You got your Twitter followers, whatever. Everybody thinks that you're leading a movement. It's very, very hard to do. And part of the reason that Tim's been able to pull it off is the consistency that we get mad at him about his allowing to build a movement.
I want to go to Aaron Burnett and Dana Bash, who's the senator. They're with his senator Amy Klobuchar. Hey guys.
All right, and we are here with the senator who just obviously came. And how'd you feel about that free?
Well, it was another slugfest, and I don't think that necessarily serves the people who are watching. But I will say that I tried my best, with the exception of wanting to make the really clear case that we have a choice here, and voters have a choice on Super Tuesday between putting a socialist in charge of the ticket or putting someone like me that could bring people with her and win back the Senate and keep the House. And that was my case. And I tried to stay out of some of the fray, honestly, and instead chose to talk about what we really need to do about the coronavirus, rural health care, education, and the like.
You did, last week, obviously, you and Pete Buttigieg had that, rather spears out run in. But that was not what you opted for tonight. And a lot of other people on the stage did.
Guys, it's hard to hold. It's hard to restrain. I mean, it's hilarious.
Because as I said, if we're going to spend the next 4 months tearing our party apart, then we're going to be able to watch Donald Trump spend the next 4 years tearing our country apart. So I think it is really important for the people out there to see something else in a presidential candidate, that you're not just looking for sound bites on TV the next day. And I'm really aware that some of those exchanges with, say, Elizabeth and
Andrew got some speaking time, but not a lot yet.
My answer on rural health care. What do you think matters more to the people of this country? The health care answer.
What matters here in South Carolina, when you look at the demographics, as you well know, is 60% of the Democratic electorate is expected to be African American. And in the beginning of this race, and obviously the first two contests, there weren't very many African Americans in those electorates. You didn't get them, just to be blunt. So what's your strategy to turn that around here?
Well, I have to earn that support, and I'm well aware that the Vice President has a long history of supporting the African American community.
And when you watch, you can actually go back to watch what happened before, so if you wanted to.
Leaders in the African American community in this presidential race. So I just need to take that out on the road to make it very clear my policies. And one of the things that I can stress, in addition to economic opportunity, criminal justice reform, is in fact that I am the leader on getting rid of voting purchase, on getting rid of gerrymandering, on automatically registering every kid to vote in this country when they turn 18. Voting matters big time to the African American community.
So not surprisingly,
Yeah, I agree. I think she should drop out probably after the South Carolina.
about a lot of issues, in particular healthcare. And you got into it with Bernie Sanders on that issue.
I think the New York Times endorsement is just totally misleading. Just gave her some false hope, fake hope, yeah.
One of the options is a 7.5% payroll tax on employers, which will save them substantial sums of money.
Let me respond to you. Does the math add up? No, the math does not add up. In fact, just on 60 Minutes this weekend,
She kept talking about math.
Through the nickels and the dimes. Well, let me tell you how many nickels and dimes we're talking about. Nearly $60 trillion. Do you know how much that is for all of his programs? That is 3 times the American economy, not the federal government, the entire American economy. The Medicare for All plan alone, on page 8.
Yeah, exactly.
That it'll kick 149
They
million
just
Americans off their current health insurance
they
in
gave
4 years. That is
Elizabeth
true.
Warren and Amy Klobuchar the false hope,
Do you feel like
and
you got
that's just cost a lot of people's wasted a lot of people's money.
He's repeatedly not said how he's going to pay for things. One of the best things
I mean,
we've
they're
got going
supporters.
here in terms of a fiscal argument with the President of the United States is the fact that he doesn't care about how he pays for anything. He's
Yeah,
treating
exactly.
the people of
They're
America
trying to
like
do
they're
everything to
orphans
stop
that want to
Sanders.
bankrupt casinos. And so for Senator Sanders then, imagine what Donald Trump's going to be able to do to him on the debate stage to prosecute the case. You're going to kick people off their health insurance. You aren't going to say how you're going to pay for things. Contrast that with me. I show every nickel and dime how I'm going to pay for things. I actually have a deficit pay down program. I think that's going to make a big difference and allow me to be much more aggressive about arguing the facts with Donald Trump.
Last week you were talking about Mayor Bloomberg, and you were surprised. You said that he had performed as badly as he did. Did you think he did better? Were you surprised by how he did tonight or not?
I think that, first of all, I wanted him on that debate stage because I knew there would be a lot of questions raised. And it's really bothered me how
Yep.
he was able to just...
Andrew Yang was on the screen, and they now just switched to, Amy Klobuchar.
To me, that would create some fairness so I can run those same ads. And I think that this time he seemed more prepared to answer these questions. But there's still huge problems here in terms of his lack of support for Democrats and some of the issues, of course, relating to things he said. He said that it was misguided to increase the minimum wage. He said that in 2014. It didn't come out in the debate today, but that just gives you an example of some of the things he said.
What about what he got into with Senator Warren again about the NDAs and the questions about the statements that he made or didn't make?
Exactly.
During many years ago when he was in the workplace, the women in the workplace were not happy with his conduct.
Well, I think, first of all, he's released a few of the women from the NDAs, but I think what she's saying, she wants to get all the evidence.
Yeah, but I'm concerned that if they nominate Bernie, we're gonna have another 4 years of Trump.
What about, we always focus on the rich and the famous, that's fine. But when it comes to sexual harassment, we should be talking about the housekeeper in the hotel and the nurse in the hospital or the...
Yeah, I agree. Bernie Sanders plus Andrew Yang would be winning, but the question is whether Bernie would do that. I mean, the policies are not very compatible.
Thank you very much. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back shortly with more from the candidates and our political credits. We'll be right back.
Ooh, commercial break.
Oh, mother, do you hear? Miss Woodhouse has invited us.
Hey guys, if you could, try to, share some of the best videos in the channel with your friends, and if everyone can do that, just send to your 3 to 5 friends, and that will help immensely. Just get people to know Andrew better, and comment on the videos. That will help with the algorithm, and YouTube will send the videos that have more comments, more likes out to more people. It's been amazing. This small channel like this, can you believe it? It's less than 4 months. In less than 4 months, it already has close to 1 million views, and that just shows how attractive Andrew Yang's message is. But that's not enough. That's far from enough. We can do so much more, and he needs to get his name out there. We can't have situation like when you meet with someone and ask, oh, do you know Andrew Yang, and the person's like, who? I've encountered that multiple times, and today I'm really happy. I actually met a young gang, and I was really surprised. It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Cookies.
Biscuits.
Oh, my pleasure.
It's my mum's secret recipe.
You can tell me.
It's a secret.
Is it cinnamon?
It's my mum's secret recipe.
Yeah, Andrew Yang still in the panel. Today somehow he didn't get much speaking time yet. I hope they would let him talk more.
We can help you build a clear plan for retirement without the unnecessary fees.
Especially let him predict what's gonna happen, or what the candidate's strategy would be like, and And by the way, do you guys know today Andrew Yang tweeted that he had the greatest meeting ever. Do you know what that is? I'm just so curious. Like, who did he meet with, and what was the meeting about? Like, why he said it was the greatest meeting ever. And something big is gonna happen, I have a feeling.
So, you want to be the leader of the free world? Just how far will you go to get what you want? Will you turn friends into enemies? Will you break your
Yes, I mean, he's not.
I'm a consumer cellular.
Oh, I've got a great plan with consumer cellular too. I'm always talking to my family, and I send 3 pictures of Cece every day, 1 for each grandchild.
My kids haven't even seen a picture of Bruno.
Get talk, text, and data as low as $20 a month with Consumer Cellular, ranked #1 in customer service by J.D. Power. See how much you can save at consumercellular.com or find us at Target.
We are present at the making of history.
A new queen takes the throne as private lives become the public's obsession.
The Windsors Inside the Royal Dynasty, Sunday at 10 on CNN.
Going to the doctor is such a pain. It's the old way of getting birth control. Have the exam and they gotta call a pharmacy and the pharmacy's gotta call you. I first saw Nurex on Instagram and I thought there's no way this can be real. Nurex takes my insurance and my pills are free. You can do the pill, the ring, the patch, the shot. They have the shot. Really? Signing up for Nurex was amazingly easy. It came right to my door and the shipping was free. Oh yeah. It's pretty much the best.
Can my result be fertile?
Oh, really? There's no video? I can see video. You serious?
And snoring?
No problem. And done. Will it help me keep up with him? Yep.
So I'll wake up ready for
Let me try.
Oh, we've got you back.
So you can really promise better sleep?
Not promise. Proof. And now save up to $600 on select Sleep Number 360 smartphones, only for a limited time.
Graceful Awareness. Sundays at 9 on CNN.
I cannot see it either.
Democratic debate number 10 on the books, the last one before
That's so
South
weird.
Carolinians vote, the last debate before Super Tuesday. We'll bring in the team shortly. First, we'll go back
Let
to
me-
Aaron Burnett and then Ashley Center.
Let me try to restart. Okay.